Yo, what is up, Crockxen clan members and others who have stumbled upon this video? I am SoresanCrockxen, bringing you guys another anime review, or anime time as it is called now, anime time with Soresan. Today we're going to be talking about Hakkenden, the 8 Dogs of the East. But before that, quick announcements again, quick reminder, this Friday I will be doing a live stream for my final thoughts on X and Y. So you guys can look forward to that. Hopefully you guys can come out and hang out for a while. Hopefully on Thursday I'm gonna try to actually make a video for a more specific time, so you guys can have that kind of like a set, have that specific time. But without further ado, let's get started with the review today. So as I said, we will be talking about Hakkenden 8 Dogs of the East. Currently there's 2 seasons. I'm hoping for a season 3. I hope that ending was like a total like either like a hiatus break or something along those lines, because I don't. It just can't end like that. Season 3 has to show up at some point. I hope so, because I really like the show. I will tell you guys right now, it is a good show. It's not like a show for like hyped up fans. The ones that are like, oh, there's gotta be a fight all the freaking time, and the fights have to like freaking last like 6 episodes. No, it's not one of those. The fights are a lot more simpler, which is actually a good thing. I actually like the fact that some of these fights are a lot shorter, but they prove a point. There's some of the fights that are in the show are for specific reasons. Um, Now, the base of the series that you have these. We're introduced to 3 characters right from the get-go. We have Shino, Sosuke, and Hamaji, who were the only survivors of like a plague that affected, or like that was kind of like the cover story, I guess. There was a plague in their like village, and then technically all 3 of them died, but for some weird reason, well, actually not for some weird reason, because of this guy named Satome, who we later meet. He revived Shino, and then Sosuke was that. I don't even remember if they even mentioned Hamaji even dying, but anyway, so we're introduced to these 3 characters who are like part of the church, and they're in a specific town, and they're technically part of the church, and then they're invited to the capital, where they meet Satomi, the guy who revived Shino, basically. Um, the way this all worked out is that he has an inner demon, kind of like freaking the Nine Tails in Naruto. It's called Murasame, and it's a basically a crow that comes out of his arm, um, which hopefully you'll see the image right now. And when the crow has its own like voice, and he has its own thoughts, and it's basically its own entity. But whenever Shino goes into a fight, Murasame turns into a sword. Now he's called the Demon Sword, though. So there is a side effect, and that's the fact that Shino can't age. He looks 13, yet out of the original 3 characters we met, Shino, Sosuke, and Hamaji, he is actually the oldest, and he looks the youngest. He's actually supposed to be 18 years old. And I'm gonna say Sosuke is around like 16, and then Hamaji is like 14 or something like that. They don't actually give their exact ages, but except for Shino, who is actually 18 years old. But because of Murasame, he can't age, so he looks 13, and sometimes he even acts like he's 13, which is actually a bad thing in some situations. But that's besides the point. Now, the main purpose of the show is that Satomi goes to Shino, or calls Shino over, because he needs to collect these things, that are these beads, which is actually Shino has one and Sosuke has one. And these are technically or what we learn later on is that these beads, there's 8 of them, and they belong to what are known as the 8 dogs, which are like the warriors who helped an old princess in the before time, during a struggle where she sacrificed her life to seal away a great evil, and then her servants, these 8 dogs, were basically spread out into these beads, and then later on in the future, when all 8 of these bead holders would come back together, she would return to life. That's the way the legend goes. So why Satomi wants this, we never really find out why. At least until season 2, we don't find out the reason for it. But that's the main goal of the show so far, is that Satomi told Shino to go find the 8 beads. Um, so throughout the series, we do meet other characters. The who end up. It's actually the weird thing. Like, they don't even realize that these people are the 8 dogs until, like, they all have another thing in common, or they actually have a couple things in common. But besides having a bead, all 8 of them have this little mark somewhere in their body that I didn't even know how to describe. It kind of looks like a red flower or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of like a birthmark, and they all have it somewhere. Like Shino has it, or where does Shino have it? I forget. I don't remember. He's the main character. I know Sosuke has it in the back of his neck. This guy called Genpachi has it in his cheek. There's another one that has it like right above their butt, which is a really weird place to have it. Anyways, the fact is they all have these things, and they all have their kind of individual powers. So, as I said, Shino has the ability to never age, which is there. But he also has Murasame, the demon sword, and he's actually the only one that can wield it. Sosuke can turn into a dog, which I don't know how that helps in anything, but it's... Well, actually, no, that's a lie, because he has been able to get into places he wouldn't normally be able to get if he was in his human form. The guy I mentioned earlier, Genpachi, and his... I don't... See, his... Oh, gosh, I don't even know how to explain this. His ex-brother-in-law, because he never actually got married to his sister, but Genpachi never got married to this guy named Kobungo's sister, but they still treat each other like brothers. So these two can turn into demons. Genpachi, if I remember correctly, is the one for lightning, and then Kobungo is the one for wind. I don't exactly remember, but that's the way I kind of remember it. Then we have this other guy named Keno, who actually was they all died basically. That's the thing. That's another thing they have in common. They all technically died and were brought back to life. So Keno died due to another character who I'm gonna mention in a little bit, who ripped his heart out, and then this kind of sort of demon princess came and then gave him her heart, and then so he's alive because of that, and then so he wields a sword. It looks like any regular sword, but it's actually a twin sword, which is supposed to help slay demons. Then we have this other guy who is named Dosetsu, who we later found out is Hamaji's older brother, which came out of like random because Hamaji has, since the beginning of the series, all we knew was that she was with Sosuke and Shino when they were younger, because she got separated from her real family and she thought like she didn't remember anybody besides those. He was in a forest and he almost froze to death, and then there was this snow spirit chick who sacrificed her voice in order to bring him back to life. See, all these people lose something. It's the craziest thing. Then we meet a guy named Daikaku, who is a doll maker. We actually don't meet these two. Like the next two, we meet in season 2. Dosetsu actually was introduced in season 1, but we didn't actually get to see him join the cast until season 2. So Daikaku is a doll maker, and he had a cat who then sacrificed his life, or basically sacrificed his freedom to protect him after reviving him from like this demon thing that kept haunting them. Then later on sacrificed himself in order to destroy the said demon. And then the last guy we meet is Shinobu, who is a mix between a person and a bird. He's called a tengu, basically. It's like a weird race of like birds interbreeding with like human people or something like that. So that's his ability. Um, Daikaku actually has a cat's eye. Like the cat who sacrificed himself actually becomes his third eye, um, which is able to react a lot faster and predict certain movements. Um, Dosetsu's the only one where I just say, what the fuck is he used for? Like, he actually doesn't have anything but the snow fairy and or the snow princess, and she is very jealous. So if he gets close to any girl, she freezes everything over, so he can't get a girlfriend. He's the most useless out of them at the moment, literally, like he's the most useless. So going back to the guy who killed Kennel, his name's Owl, and he's a total douchebag, and I hate his ass. He is Sosuke's shadow. How the heck this separation happened? They never truly go in depth into it. We just know that Owl has the memories, while Sasuke has, I guess, the feelings or something. Because he does care for Shino a lot. You know, they're like brothers. Even though they're not technically brothers, they love each other like brothers. And Ao has the memory, so he kind of tortures Shino a lot throughout the series. And it's a lot of bad stuff happens because Ao's a douchebag and should just already die. But he doesn't die because, I don't know, maybe they're being portraying something. He freaking steals Sosuke's bead. Like, that is a douchebag move, if anything else. Um, so during this whole process of collecting the beads, they do meet all the new characters. So we technically have the whole cast. Here's the problem: since Ao stole Sosuke's bead, the bead ended up or since they're technically the same person, the bead technically started moving to choose Ao, the shadow. So this was all being controlled by a freaking. She's a witch, but not really. I mean, she considers herself a princess. So basically, like, without spoiling too much, she causes a lot of bad stuff to happen. The ending, basically, like the last part of the last 2-3 episodes or so, she causes a lot of turmoil in this series. And I actually like the fact that she is actually involved with the original incident with Shino, Sosuke, and Hamaji in the village. I like that correlation. I love the background story that they gave her. It's actually really interesting. Um, all in all, this show is actually one that I would highly recommend. I mean, it's not that action packed, but the storyline itself is really good, and I love like the interaction between the characters. This is, this Sosuke and Shino treating each other like brothers. Well, Sosuke, since he's actually able to grow, becoming overprotective over Shino, and then Hamaji being worried about these two and all the stuff that happens to them, and then the interaction with the other characters. There's actually a thing like Genpachi, since he lost his fiance because she died. Um, they do a really weird joke between him and Kobungo because Shino, since he's not able to age, he stays 13. But there's an instance in the series where he actually goes like Murasame goes out of control, and then basically that curse goes away, and he actually goes into his 18-year-old body, and then Kobungo freaks out because he's like, oh my gosh, Denpachi, if he saw him right now, I don't think he would be able to restrain himself, and he would just go for him. And which kind of, because Shino kind of looks like a girl in his older form, because when he was younger, because of freaking politics, man, sometimes. Because of politics, his parents made him dress and act like a girl. Stupid, I know, I agree. Like, he actually had the long, like, really long hair, always wore women or girl outfits. Um, so when he's older, he does have a more feminine look. Or, I mean, I think it's mostly because of the hair. Like, if he had shorter hair, it wouldn't be as it wouldn't look as girly, but because of the way his hair is, he looks like a total girl. So Kobungo freaks out and like tries to get Genpachi to not go in the room or not see him that way because he freaks out that Genpachi's gonna fall in love with Shino, and that would be like the most awkward situation anybody would ever know. So yeah, this show is crazy. I actually give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason why it doesn't get a perfect score is it's not over yet, and that ending really ticked me off. Like if they don't come out with a season 3, that's gonna be like the worst, or not the worst, but one of the worst ways to just cut off a series because it's not like it's nowhere near over. Like literally, there's so much left that can be done, and I hope that season 3 does come out because it is just too awesome of a show to just end there. It was just ridiculous. So that's my review on Hakkenden. Awesome show. If you've seen it, post down below in the comments what you thought of it. If you haven't, I highly suggest that you watch it. It is a really interesting storyline and just awesome overall. Um, but yeah, this has been SoresanCrockxen with your anime time with Soresan, featuring today Hakkenden, the 8 Dogs of the East. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.